Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're opening up a brand new explainer and we're looking at a moment in sports history that honestly is going to be talked about for decades. We're diving into the sheer absolute heartbreak of July 6, 2026. This was the night the lights finally went out on Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup dream. It was the night that brought Portugal's famed golden generation to their knees. I mean, we had absolute giants of the game stepping onto the pitch in North America, fully expected to conquer the entire tournament. But instead, it ended in tears in the stands and just pure devastation down on the grass. We're going to break down exactly what happened, step by step, using the match data to really understand the anatomy of this massive footballing downfall.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The exact minute everything changed. 90 plus 1. For 90 minutes of grueling, unbelievably tense football, it was a total deadlock. Neither team was giving an inch. But then, in the suffocating silence of stoppage time, Spain's substitute Mikel Merino found the near post. Portuguese goalkeeper Diogo Costa was just completely helpless. The scoreboard flickers to 1-0, and literally in an instant, Merino didn't just break the deadlock, he shattered an entire nation's dream. Portugal simply had no time and no answer.
Section 1. The Breakdown. A war of attrition in Dallas. Picture this. You're inside the massive home of the Dallas Cowboys, right? 70,649 witnesses packing the stands. But what they watched wasn't some free-flowing, beautiful exhibition match. No. It was a brutal clash that played out much more like a war of attrition. Spain systematically wore Portugal down. They completely controlled the rhythm, holding a 55 to 45% possession advantage. Now you might be thinking, 10%. That doesn't seem like a huge deal. But at the elite level of international football, it is absolutely everything. That 55% let Spain weave what match reports called a suffocating web of technical density. They were constantly passing, constantly moving, making Portugal chase shadows, and essentially starving them of the oxygen they needed to build their own attacks. And the numbers brilliantly illustrate exactly how that dominance played out. Spain was incredibly clinical. They took 15 shots, with a solid 6 of those finding the target. Meanwhile, Portugal was just gasping for air. They only managed 10 shots the entire match, and incredibly, a mere 2 of them even forced the Spanish keeper to make a save. It's like Spain was just continuously knocking on the door, while Portugal's attack was totally neutralized before it could even spark a real threat. Section 2. The VAR Mystery. When the screens went dark. So naturally, this sparked a massive, heated debate about the use or abuse of technology, because the one question on absolutely everyone's mind was, where was VAR? Think about the context here for a second. This entire 2026 tournament had been defined by the most forensic, microscopic level of tech we have ever seen in the sport. Yet somehow, the whole system just goes totally silent when Portugal found themselves in these critical, highly contentious moments.
It's honestly mind-boggling when you compare it. Just days earlier in Portugal's match against Croatia, they survived this massive VAR drama. The tech was so precise, so forensic, that it detected a microscopic touch of a player's hair to disallow a goal. Literally a single strand of hair. But then, against Spain, it's like the screens essentially went dark. That extreme technological precision that defined the whole tournament just vanished into thin air when Portugal needed it most.
Let's actually walk through how this frustration built up. Right out of the gate, 10th minute, Cristiano Ronaldo goes down in the box under a heavy challenge from Spain's Rodri. The appeals from the players were deafening, but the referee waves it away, and crucially, VAR refuses to intervene. Fast forward a bit to a corner kick. Even more appeals for a penalty. Again, totally ignored by the tech booth. All of these unanswered calls built this incredible foundation of tension, culminating, of course, in the 91st minute when Merino scores the winner, while Portugal is just left wondering why their earlier appeals were completely ghosted.
Section 3. A legend bows out. 22 years of dominance.
When that final whistle echoed through the stadium, a 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo walked off the pitch in tears. The dream was officially over, and it closed out an absolutely astounding 233 international appearances. Just think about that. To maintain the physical fitness, the mental sharpness, the sheer drive to represent your country 233 times on the global stage, it's a feat of human endurance that we might literally never see again. Now, what's really interesting about this stat is what it translates to: 146 goals. Because of that insane endurance, he stands totally alone at the absolute summit of global international goal scoring. The sheer scale of his achievements is monumental. We're talking about the only man in the history of the sport to score in 6 different World Cups. 6. And even in this final match, fighting against the relentless passage of time, he still registered more shots than almost anyone else out there.
He gave every ounce of energy until the clock hit 0. His iron will is just unquestionable. He leaves the world stage with a completely clear conscience, having given his nation everything. But, as we all know, he leaves without the one single trophy he craved the most.
Section 4. The Golden Generation's Sunset. The Funeral for an Era.
Because, this wasn't just Ronaldo's exit. It was the end of the road for an entire generation of giants. Guys like Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Joao Felix, Pepe. This specific core group completely transformed Portugal from a peripheral European team into serial title winners. They captured the European Championship in 2016, then the Nations League in 2019, and again in 2025. They proved over and over they could win on the biggest stages. But the World Cup, it remained the one impossible mountain they just couldn't summit.
So why did they fall short in 2026? Well, as match analysts noted, a squad jam-packed with talent couldn't find the synergy to break the Spanish wall. Despite all that undeniable individual brilliance under coach Roberto Martinez, Spain's tactical discipline totally exposed the cracks. Individual talent's amazing for sure, but without the collective synergy to break down a well-oiled machine like Spain, the dream that began 2 decades ago was basically destined to die on a Monday night in Texas.
Section 5. The Fallout, Global Tribute, and Devastation. Down on the turf, veteran players were entirely broken. Some physically couldn't even lift themselves off the grass. But while there was this heavy silence inside the stadium, the internet just erupted in a global tribute to a departing icon and a legendary squad. As Spain celebrated their victory, the rest of the globe collectively watched a legend fade into the tunnel for the very last time.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Is this just the end of an era, or is it a new beginning? The Golden Generation has officially reached the end of the line. The possession metrics, the heartbreak, the VAR controversies, they're all just a matter of record now. What actually matters moving forward is the massive vacuum left behind in international football. Is the huge shadow of what these players built going to overwhelm the next squad, or is it going to be the foundation for something entirely new? I want you to really think about what happens next for this nation. The dossier on this massive transition is still wide open, so make sure you subscribe so you can track the fallout with us as we continue to explain the beautiful game. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.